Ellie, how are you this week?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am not too bad. Everyone can begin to calm down. The beard is on the way back. Yes, it turns out people had opinions about that, but that's absolutely fine. But that's not why we're here, because Doctor Who magazine released an issue recently. Were you aware of this?
I was aware of this because of the storm that followed on that wonderful place called Twitter.
Twitter. Now, look, I'm a serial Twitter user. I have to say, I love it. It has been a very good place for building communities and getting to know other fans, and in that respect, grand. But oh my good word, did things get stirred up over the cover of the Doctor Who magazine? So right, I'm asking you right now, in an issue that is celebrating Liz Sladen, do you think they dropped the ball on the cover?
Personally, I don't. When I saw it, I didn't jump to any negative conclusion. To me, I immediately went. I didn't read what the catchphrase was or anything like that. I just saw the picture and immediately went, "Oh, this issue is going to be about Sarah Jane." Like the fact that the Doctor's on there is kind of a given. So immediately, I kind of just looked past him. I didn't think, "Oh, why she sat behind him?" I just kind of went, "This is going to be about Sarah Jane. That's cool."
Exactly, and also like it's clearly Sarah Jane from The Wedding of Sarah Jane, that episode of Sarah Jane Adventures, which
I love that episode.
It is actually a really nice episode, yeah. And it's I guess it's I've seen comments and tweets about how they're just using David Tennant, which I do appreciate, because I was alive in 2009. You couldn't go near media for David Tennant everywhere. It was a very good year, I'm not going to lie. But I would absolutely understand using a photo of the Doctor with Sarah Jane in an issue celebrating Sarah Jane. Maybe. So I've seen the question posed. Maybe it could have been Tom Baker, because Sarah Jane back when she was an ongoing companion, and I can understand that, but that was pre Sarah Jane Adventures. So if you want to have a Doctor on it, that leaves you with David Tennant or, of course, Matt Smith, because of the funeral of the Doctor.
Is it just the death of the Doctor?
The death of the Doctor. That's what it is. Yes,
that one.
Yeah, that one. Actually, despite what I've just displayed, I really do like that episode.
But I do think, though, that actually there's a lot more of a kind of relationship with David Tennant's incarnation and Sarah Jane. I mean, it was a big deal when she returned in School Reunion. For David Tennant himself, who was a big fan of the Tom Baker era.
Mm-hmm.
And also that's in Doctor Who itself, whereas Matt Smith's incarnation only crossed paths with Sarah Jane in the Sarah Jane Adventures, which not every Doctor Who fan might have seen.
That's true. I will. Like there's episodes of Sarah Jane I haven't seen. There's episodes of Class I haven't seen, and look, that's on me. I need to catch up, but I have seen every single episode of Doctor Who since it came back in 2005. So at least there's that. And as you say, you're absolutely right. She was in Doctor Who in Tennant's era, as opposed to Smith's era. Plus, as well, Russell T Davies he did come out and say that this wasn't actually a picture chosen for the crack. There was all sorts that they were trying to hunt down pictures. They're trying to hunt down the owner of the picture as well, because, children, there is a thing called copyright. And you will note that we don't use audio in any of our videos on our channels, because copyright, absolute nightmare. So there is an awful lot to that. Now, I know there was one part of the picture particularly upset you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if anyone's going to have an issue with this photo, it should be the fact that K9's poor head is chopped off.
Right, what's going on?
Why you have an issue with whether Sarah Jane is at the front behind the Doctor, whether the Doctor's there or not? Poor K9, right? He's been decapitated.
Exactly, yeah. All he ever tries to do is help the Doctor, and nothing. There's scope to now. Obviously, I'm not going to read out tweets. That's not fair. Everyone is absolutely. I know here we are maybe making light of some of the comments. Everyone's absolutely entitled to their opinions. That's That's fine. Some of them I feel might be maybe focusing too much on, let's make a negative statement other than, well, we've got a whole issue celebrating Liz Sladen.
Yeah.
And there's a couple that do suggest that it's disrespectful to not have her on her own. And yes, there is absolutely lots and lots of images of Sarah Jane. Excuse me.
Oh, I promise she doesn't like being called Sarah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, I promise I have watched Dr. Wen, but there is obviously loads and loads of solo.
Yeah,
amazing.
There is also there were a few that suggested that it was very patriarchal to have her behind the Doctor. I mean, to be honest, I think it's just a really lovely photo. I mean, judging by what Russell T Davies has said about how they came about choosing the photo, they very specifically wanted that one, and you can see why. I mean, she looks beautiful. It was an episode where she was, dressed for a wedding, her wedding. So, they're very close with each other. I don't know that it makes a massive difference that she's sat slightly behind him. I think, it just makes them look very close and friendly. And at the end of the day, it's Doctor Who magazine, not Sarah Jane magazine. So it makes sense to have the Doctor on there somewhere.
Certainly, I would be of the same opinion. And, as we go into 2023, which is absolutely segueing into the next thing we need to talk about, it makes sense to have David Tennant specifically on the cover of the issue because, he is currently the Doctor again. He's the 14th Doctor. So 2023 Doctor Who Annual has come out and David Tennant is on the cover. And that wonderful website we just mentioned, there has been a lot of people who are upset at the fact that it's not Jodie Whittaker on the cover. And, this concern that maybe David Tennant's return is overshadowing the fact that Ncuti Gatwa is obviously taking over the keys to the TARDIS. I think it kind of in the same logic, the 2024 annual, Ncuti Gatwa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now they might completely, obviously we've theorized before, they might pull the rug out from underneath us and, kind of first episode of the 60th anniversary of Ncuti at the beginning going, but you weren't expecting me. We don't know yet.
Yeah, but in that light, then, that's a big surprise. So it wouldn't make sense to put him on the front of the cover because that's going to be a little bit like, why is he on the cover of 2023? He's not the Doctor yet. Maybe he's more important than we realised to these episodes. And there's your spoilers.
Exactly, yeah. And I have to say, if there's somebody who is good at guarding against spoilers, it's Russell T Davies.
Yeah,
he is
absolutely.
He's really quite good at that. So now we must also say again, there's a lot of people get very, very loud about this thing, and then there's a lot of people who either don't care, which is absolutely fine, or maybe they love the idea that David Tennant, it's kind of like, it's 2009 again, that David Tennant is everywhere. Or, there's people that, maybe they don't like it, but they don't choose to say anything. All of that is fine. Social media is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I do encourage everyone to reach out to us on social media and contact and follow and all that sort of thing, because we do enjoy the discussion. Like I would, even in this topic, right? So I would not say to someone that, look, you're wrong for feeling a certain way about David Tennant being on the cover of an issue that celebrates Elizabeth Sladen. I personally think I agree with you. I think it's a lovely photo idea. I think they look great together. They did look great together then. They look great together there. Would I be terribly upset with an issue cover that just has Elizabeth Sladen on it? I would not be upset with that. I think that would be also lovely.
I think in regards to whether he's overshadowing Ncuti Gatwa as well, I mean, or whether he's being overused, whether David Tennant is just kind of something that they know he'll bring in an audience, so they just keep overusing him and his time is done. I think people need to consider as well that at this point, multi-Doctor stories, especially for anniversaries, are expected.
Yep.
It's not just the 50th. We've had multiple multi-Doctor stories throughout the last 60 years. So it was kind of, you're anticipating that being a part of the 60th anniversary in some way. But if you actually think about the actors who are more likely to do it in terms of the classic actors have all aged. So yes, you can explain that to some degree, and we've seen that in The Power of the Doctor. If you think about the actors who are able to come back and play that version of their Doctor again, you're actually quite limited. I mean, Christopher Eccleston has made it quite clear how he feels about returning to Doctor Who. Matt Smith is a very, very busy man right now. I mean, he is playing a major role in House of the Dragon, which I think probably takes up quite a considerable amount of his time. And so maybe he is involved, or maybe he was asked to be involved and couldn't because of this major new role that he's playing. Peter Capaldi, whether it's a red herring or not, has also stated that he doesn't want to come back. Jodie Whittaker has only just left. And even, sadly, John Hurt is no longer able. So you actually are then limited. And David Tennant is actually really the only one who's willing, who's popular, to come back and play that role. And it just so happens.
Make an addition to that, Paul McGann.
Okay, yeah, Paul McGann as well. Yeah, so that maybe would be another person who it would make sense. But in terms of, I mean, David Tennant is, I mean, I think a lot of people, if you ask a lot of people who watched Doctor Who from 2005 to identify the Doctor, I think a lot of people would say David Tennant.
I think so too. Certainly.
I would think of David Tennant.
Well, I know you like to think of David Tennant, and that's fine. So do I. We all do, to a certain extent. Look, what do you all think? Are you sick of David Tennant already? You know, as of recording, it's very early on in March of 2023. If you're sick of David Tennant now, you're going to have a difficult year. Let us know what you think. Personally, the more Doctor Who content that I see, the more I'm getting excited.
Yeah,
that's just,
I think maybe after this is a good time for him to bow out. I think maybe after the 60th, and I think probably this will be his final kind of swan song. You know, we've speculated that he might end it on his kind of "I'm ready to go" thing. I think there's one story left in him, and then I think even he himself would probably admit that was probably a good time to leave it then.
No. Like, I knew my time was up with Doctor Who, but then they did reverse the dump truck full of money to my door. So, oops, spoiler. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the 14th Doctor will have about as long a run as the 8th Doctor did originally. Maybe but slightly longer. But yes, but what is it? What are you guys looking forward to seeing? Do you think that all of this David Tennant coverage is actually a big, massive red herring that Ncuti Gatwa's coming back? Do you think that we're not getting enough Ncuti Gatwa? Let us know in the comments below. Follow us on all of the various socials and everything. Ellie, you are wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. I have, of course, been Sean, and our lovely editor has, of course, been Danny. Yous are all lovely. Keep things wibbly wobbly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.